Hello, I'm Aaron, base straight A student, always leveling up life, and this video will tell you exactly like a step-by-step approach on how you can get good grades. And some of the tips in this are boring, but they're really high ROI, so if you implement them, you will actually spend less time in getting better grades. Now, I've not always been a straight A student, and these lessons that I'm about to share today, I've picked up over my time in getting good grades. And it's all synthesized and like crafted into the studies realm from a bunch of different books and podcasts and courses. As always, there are timestamps in the description down below so you can skip ahead to any section that you'd like. Now, the first tip is to make lists, and this can seem really boring at first. I learned this from the book Make Time. It's a productivity book. It's alright, it's not the best. But basically, making lists help you simplify the entire process of life and everything that's going on into a few words, and you have everything in like one place. So it's really efficient to, for example, have a list in the studies realm where you have these assignments that you have to do on these dates, and you just go through the list. It's like you don't have to waste your brain power trying to hold it in your mind, and you instead just have like a nice and efficient place to write it all down. I personally, for my studies, use a big ass whiteboard. I can actually go get it right now. This big ass whiteboard I use just for studies. Right now it's empty because school just started and there's barely anything right now. But this is what I mainly use. I also have like like other stuff like gym and business on the side here too, but mostly study. So for example, every single time we get an assignment or homework, I usually write it down and the date that it's due, and I can plan it. So like this day I'm going to be doing this and this and that, and the next day I can actually skip it because it's pretty lenient. Day after that I'm going to be doing this, and it's just a nice way to systemize everything. And it can seem boring, but once you do it, it's so high ROI, you'll never want to go back. Now, the second option, if you don't want to use a whiteboard, if you're more like a digital kind of guy, you could use an app called Notion, which is basically like a note-taking productivity app. I discovered it first from Ali Abdal, and ever since I started using it, it has genuinely changed my life. So if you haven't started with Notion already, bro, what are you doing? If you want to live like a life which is systemized and you have a multiple different pursuits, then you have to, bro, it's like a must to start with Notion, or have some kind of like second brain in place. In one of those apps, you want to make a page like called lists or anything, it doesn't really matter. And there you can write down all the different lists and bullet points, and every time you're done with one of those points, you just delete them and they're out of the page. And the goal with that would be to just have an empty page. And as you go through life, you'll get different things to do, and you just put them on there, and you just want to make sure that it's as empty as possible. The second thing is to only do high ROI things. High ROI meaning high return on investment things for your time, so that the time that you do give in is as bang for your buck. It gives as much value as possible and results that you're looking for. And so the way to find like the high ROI tasks is to implement something called Pareto's principle. You might have heard it before, but it's the 80-20 rule, where 20% of your actions leads to 80% or the vast majority of the results that you get, and 80% of the action, like most of the shit that we fill up our time with, only results in 20% or barely like a portion of the result. And so we want to be doubling down on this 20%, this essential high ROI tasks, and do more of that to get the most bang for our buck. In studies, it is usually what students find the most daunting and arduous tasks, because it is just practice tests, practice worksheets, practice questions, and those are the 20% like high ROI, fucking high level man shit of stuff that you can be doing to get good grades. And most students procrastinate from that because that is like the real work, and leave it to last and do a bunch of other bullshit like highlighting and taking pretty notes, which doesn't really lead to much, if at all, results in like the tests. So I'm not saying to like completely cut out like the 80%. For example, studying with friends is an 80% task, but if you find that fun, then you can 100% do it. But I'm just saying to focus and prioritize the 20%, the high ROI things, because that will make the most, that will move the needle the most in terms of the grades that you get. Bro, the amount of people I see just flexing that they study 12-hour days, 25-minute Pomodoro sessions for 12-hour days, it's like, bro, you're just wasting your time because there's no need for you to study that long. First of all, Pomodoro technique is a very ineffective tactic, which I'll talk to you about later. And secondly, if you focus on the high ROI things, you'll be able to put in much less time and get the same, if not better, results than the other students comparatively. So from now on, bro, every single assignment, every single test that you have, only focus on the 20%. Ask yourself, if I only had 2 hours a week to practice for this test or assignment or whatever, then what would I be doing with that time? And double down on those key essential tasks. The third thing is to systemize the process. So every single time we get a test, we usually follow like a certain protocol every single time. So I, for example, have it all systemized so that every time we have like, let's say a chemistry test, I would have like a clear roadmap, a clear path like a systemized way to get there, and I just repeat that for every single test. And it's the same like process, but different, contents of stuff. How do I say it? It's like the same strategy, but different tactics, or like different content basically. Systemizing the process like this is from the book The E-Myth Revisited, which is actually a business book, but you can take the lesson from there and apply it into the studies world. I can tell you right now off the top of my head what exact system I follow every single time we get a test. So first, when we get like, the test is going to be in 3 weeks, 4 weeks or whatever, I first note it down on my calendar or just have it written down somewhere when the test is going to be. And then I usually make like a plan. So like the week before on this day, I will first go through everything that we did in class, like really quickly. I will go through the notes, because usually most times I don't listen in class. I know I should be, but come on bro, the teacher just yaps forever and it's just annoying as fuck to like listen. And I prefer to do it myself, but we should be listening in class, because if you're gonna go to class, might as well listen, because might as well get some value from the time. After I've gone through like all the different stuff and I'm caught up, then I would do a bunch of practice tests, practice questions, and the high ROI things. I would see if the teacher had posted any past papers or review questions or worksheets or anything like that, fucking grind them, and then find some more online. You can even ask ChatGPT for this. You can ask it to generate you some questions, and you can say like E level, C level, A level, or whatever grading system you have, and you can spend your time doing them. So like every single test, there is a clear system, like a clear roadmap that I follow, and it's very systemized, so I don't have to put like extra headache just thinking about like what's the strategy going to be. The notion of plates I use is called the 80-20 list, where I mapped out all the different 80% of tasks and 20% of tasks, and it asks you the question. So if you want to find out it for yourself, like what's your 20% and what like your lists are gonna be, then you can check the Notion template out, first link down below, and it's completely free. Alright, the fourth tip is to harness, fucking extract as much feedback as you can. There's this saying in YouTube, if you are like in the niche of growing a YouTube channel, there's a saying like content is king and feedback is queen. And that holds true for basically every realm of life. Content is basically the thing that we're doing. So in studies, it would be the things that you're studying. For example, it would be the practice tests and the high ROI things. That would be the content. And the feedback would be actually getting feedback from your teachers, so you can take it to improve. Feedback is really important, especially if it's from a teacher, because they're directly telling you like, bro, this is where you're lacking, this is where you can improve, and you can take those lessons and work on your weaknesses. Also, the good feedback that you get, like for example, you wrote an essay in English and the teacher really liked how you structured it. You just learn from that win of yours and see like, this is how it works for this teacher, and you would just repeat that structure and just refine it over time because of the teacher's feedback. And if you have that kind of teacher who doesn't like to give much feedback, or is fucking holding back everything, trying to hide under a fucking wall whilst grading you, you want to make sure that you insist on getting feedback from your teachers. Because bro, not only does it show that you actually like care about the subjects and all that crap, it also like helps you just stay aware of your mistakes and your constraints, and it will let you improve much more than the people who just focus on the content part and forget about the feedback and only like blindly try and improve their content without having real feedback to base something on. Or the fifth thing is to implement something called the Feynman technique. So I recently learned this concept from watching an Ali Abdaal video, and I realized I've been kind of doing this already without even really knowing like the concept about it. So basically it's that when you have learned something, you want to be able to explain it to like a 5-year-old, and that's when you can say that you really know a subject, when you can take all like the complex lessons out there and just simplify and structure it all down into a few concise compendious tips. So before any important exams or something that will get you good grades, I try to explain whatever concepts I've learned to my friends. The sixth thing is to study or work directly after you wake up. This is from the book Eat the Frog, and it's under like a habit called Eat the Frog, ETF. I already made a whole video on it, so you can watch that later if you want to see me yap more about it. But basically, right, when we wake up, our mind is kind of like this fresh, blank slate. And so whatever we give our mind to do at that time, it will do it extremely well. The morning hours are kind of like this magical time where you can get a fuck ton of work done. You might be like, bro, Aaron, it's the morning. How am I going to study then? I'm going to be tired. And to that I say, how the hell are you going to be tired right after you wake up? Like, you literally just had 8 hours, hopefully 8 hours of rest. You're going to be tired after that. The main reasons why you can be feeling tired in the mornings, like I remember before a couple of months ago, I used to be super tired in the mornings and I didn't do this ETF habit. It was probably due to inadequate sleep, because I barely got like 6 hours a night because I used to stay up every night doing bullshit. And whilst you're doing this ETF habit every morning, what you can do is drink a cup of black coffee, no sugar, no milk, I personally have a tiny bit of milk, but it's not enough to break my fast. It's just enough to get rid of like the super horrible bitter taste of the coffee. And bro, coffee is one of the best inventions, bro. I just get so much work done in the mornings, and that is like the prime time to get like the high ROI things of studying done and out of the way. The seventh thing is to do deep work. Now, deep work is much less exciting than the concept of Pomodoro technique, which is like this very, very widespread productivity tactic, which is highly ineffective, bro. The concept of deep work is from the book Deep Work by Cal Newport, and it's when you have a long workflow, a long work session with no distractions, and you're completely uninterrupted. This is completely different from the fucking Pomodoro technique, which is where you work for 25 minutes and you take a 5-minute break, 25 minutes, 5-minute break. The reason that's highly ineffective, I've already made a whole video on why, but essentially, you don't get to enter what's called a flow state. With deep work, you're able to enter a flow state and you're able to get like the uncomfortable quote unquote work done instead of the segmented approach of the Pomodoro technique. Doing deep work where it's like 2, 3, 4 hours of like straight up work with no breaks, that can seem really boring and really daunting and really arduous. But trust me, that is usually when we find our work the most fun, because we're able to get in a flow state. And multiple research and studies have shown that when we're in a flow state, us humans peak happiness, especially if we're in a flow state on something that we genuinely enjoy doing. Like for example, if you enjoy gymnastics and you get into a flow state in gymnastics, you're going to be completely in the zone and you'll be fully enjoying it, and you'll be doing deep work without even realizing it because it's gymnastics, you just like it. To others, it might seem like work, but for you, it's play if you like gymnastics. It can be, for example, if you like hitting the gym, you can hit like a fucking hard full workout for like 2-3 hours or something crazy like that. And to you, it's not even work, it's fun because you like hitting the gym. For others, it can seem like you're very disciplined, etc. But for you, it's just, you know, whatever, you like doing it anyways. So only doing deep work gives you the best value for the time that you put in. And whilst it can be kind of boring, I want to change that perspective and shift your mindset to think that deep work is actually much more fun than the Pomodoro, because you're able to enter a flow state and get so much more value and ROI for your time. And so getting good grades is actually not boring, it's actually kind of fun if you shift your mindset. I clickbaited you, but basically making studying fun combined with effective action and intention will make sure that the results take care of itself. So hopefully you found that valuable and it was a worthwhile investment of your time to spend being here. You can click here if you want to see me yap more about learning and becoming smart and the learning pyramid and all that jazz. Jalla, jag ska gå nu. Tack för att ni kollade. Thank you for watching. I have school now, so I'm gonna get ready for that. I don't want to be late. And as always, your potential is only limited by your intention. Take care, bro.